sure feels good to win. But the thing I'm most proud of are really two things. One of the kids who just keep showing up. And the thing that I tell them is, it's hard to beat somebody who keeps showing up. Really is. Because the mindset is at some point, the other person is not going to show up. And I'm proud of our kids for continuing to do the things that we've asked them to do, even though they haven't seen what they saw today was the fruits of that labor in the way that everybody can recognize as being a win. The other thing I'm most proud of is I thought today we did the program well by representing the families today. And critically important that never is lost. We won't play a more important game, no matter how many more we play this year. So I'm thankful for all of them for showing up the way they do, and for the kids. So with that, I'll take questions.
You're 6-1 and remember the 10 games. Can you make heads or tails of that?
No, I don't even remember each game individually. I do remember that each year I get an opportunity to speak to them. And so I try not to look any deeper into those type of trends because I don't know who we played, where the games have been, what the circumstances may have been at the time with the team per se. So what I focused on was, making sure our guys knew what this was about. And then making sure that we were also prepared to play against somebody today because, this may sound like a coach just trying to pump up a win, but when you look at their roster, talent-wise, I'm not sure there's a better one top to bottom in our conference. There's some teams that have maybe better high-end guys, but from 1 through 10, at some point, their seventh guy's better than the other team's seventh guy, or their eighth guy's better. I mean, they're all really, really productive college players for a long time. I don't think they put a freshman in the game. I don't even know if they have one on their roster. So I try to really focus on making sure that we didn't get so wrapped up in the emotion of the game that we also didn't prepare well. So there was a balance in doing both of those things.
I know you'll be asked by those of us about some of the offensive circumstances late in the game, what happened, the corner three and free throws and all of that. But the last 3 minutes, every defensive possession, it was screwed down by your guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that, I think we talked about the other day is the game is it's a simple game, but it's not an easy game to play. It's a simple game in terms of like if you do the things, take care of the basketball, block out, make your free throws, right? It's simple, but you have to do it over and over and over again. And what I think sometimes gets lost from people who just watch the game is that the other team's also preparing, like really good coaches, really good players. And sometimes offensively, their adjustments to what you do have really made a difference in how you're able to execute. And I thought that our guys did that today. They made 2 significant runs at us, one in each half, that we just knuckled down and said, no more. I think it was a mindset, it was a determination that we haven't seen. The theme in our practices the last couple of days have been about finishing. Early on, we were getting off to good starts, and then we weren't sustaining through the middle of the game, or we weren't responding when the other team did. And then we got to a point where we actually were sustaining quite a bit, and we weren't finishing. And today was the first day that we got off to a good start. They made a run, which is going to happen. We responded. It was back and forth for a while, but then we were the better team to finish. And some of it is just a matter of confidence in those situations. And today we kind of got over the hurdle. We can't assume that it's automatic now. The only thing that's automatic is age. I tell them all the time, age is automatic, but growth is intentional. And we have to grow from this the same way we grew from the last few losses.
It seemed like you guys made it a point to get some paint touches throughout the game. Was that a point of emphasis going into this?
Yeah. I mean, in many ways, you kind of helped me, and I was going to do the research anyway, but getting the actual detail, the numbers, and what we were lacking on doing. We made the free throws, which was helpful, but being able to just make up our mind, and we took a lot of jump shots still. I mean, it's a hard game to play not shooting threes. I get, like, you're not making them, but if John Michael's wide open after a driving kick, I mean, I'm going to live with it. I watched the kid make $25,000 this summer. And so you don't just throw that away because you are 0 for 4 in the game if you're open. You got to have some courage and believe and live with the results sometime. But there was a concerted effort of getting the ball to the paint, playing inside with BG a little bit more today, and trying to get ourselves in position to get fouled.
I'd love to ask Javon, and I know you can't speak for him, but with the 12 rebounds thrown in there, do you think that was his most well-rounded game he's played at the college level?
Probably. That's one of the things he's actually, he rebounded well even last year. He averaged, I think, almost 6 rebounds a game. For a point guard, it's really good. So he has the ability to, but I think he just played with a determination that he was going to be in the mix. And we've talked to him about playing with the smaller lineup. Rebounding's been a little bit more of an issue the last 2 games. Certainly hurt us in our game earlier this week. So that he's taking that burden on while also still being able to find shots, while also being able to make team plays for his teammates, gives you great confidence that as he continues to grow and learn how to balance that game like that, our team will keep getting better.
We talked about Brandon plenty, but for him to have the game that he had today, for him to hit the free throws he hit, he didn't have a foul with no Mike Marsh. Just what you kind of think of his performance?
Yeah, just proud. Really, I've been on him pretty hard in practice, and really it's because I believe so much in who he can become. I believe in who he is now, but I believe even more in, like, he's a baby. I mean, like, literally, he's playing against real adults out there, and he's playing with more courage and more confidence as the game goes along. I think after the game against Baylor, where there was another freshman out there, it was Warren Washington was 25, Robert Jones was 25. They all run together. Hunter Dickinson's not a young kid. I mean,
maybe 30.
The kid at K-State's not young. The kid at, I guess Uday's a sophomore, but an old sophomore. So, having to be out there and learn, it's not, and it's no fun. And I get the fans' frustration. So I want to point to that real quick, just because I get it. But we also are really trying to invest in this kid getting better. That's a big part of what we're doing right now. And it's not going to look great all the time. I'm hoping he plays well on Tuesday, but the other team's going to also make a game plan to try to stop it from happening. So how do we respond? If we can grow a little bit better than we did the last time he played well, that'll be a win in my book.
How much better is Brandon? I mean, I know he played well against Baylor, but how much have you seen him grow just in conference play?
It's hard to really quantify it without knowing the things that he's gotten better at. Right? Today he kind of got spun around a little bit in ball screen coverages because they were shooting at the point of the screen. And most teams don't do that. They try to get downhill because they want to play 2-man basketball at a big who's dropping. So then he started trying to come out of the paint a little bit more. And again, it's just that stuff right there, he'll be better at in 3 weeks than he is now. He's better at the drop coverage than he was 3 weeks ago. He's better at getting post position deeper than he was 3 weeks ago. But sometimes most people can only see the stat sheet, but to step up and make those free throws late, big deal. And so I see all the things that I need to see that give me confidence that he's going to be a damn good college basketball player. He's going to be in position to make a lot of money playing basketball for a long time.
What do you like about the starting lineup that you've gone to here lately, and in particular what Eric is bringing off the bench?
Yeah, so again, that came up a few weeks ago when he was starting. We were getting pretty much all of our offensive production from the starting group, and you need some balance. And so he gives us that. We know he can score. He's a guy who's going to come in, and I don't know if it's 8 or 18, but he's going to get some baskets. But he's a threat to score, and in particular, playing him as a 5, which we've done a lot more here in the last 3 games. He gives you a little bit of a mismatch because 5 men naturally aren't used to coming out and playing on the perimeter where he can drive and make passes. So having that element coming off the bench is a big boost to us. But it also, with our starters, it gives us more floor spacing for Javon and Bryce to be able to make plays because John Michael and Connor are threats to shoot. And it gives you an opportunity for a lob attempt and pick and roll with Javon and Brandon.
BT didn't necessarily have the greatest game, but he hits that 3 late. What can you kind of say about his willingness to keep going?
Yes, that's the sign of a guy who's been through college basketball a lot of times and understanding that as long as you're out there, you find a way to impact the game. What goes unseen there is he was assigned to work on battle for most of the game. And their leading scorer didn't have a very good night. No assists, 5 turnovers. A lot to do with Bryce's focus on the defensive end, something that he could not do 2 years ago. And so to see him be able to embrace that and still have the confidence when we needed a big shot to take it, even though he had a turnover there, he missed a couple layups. That's what you need out of your seniors. It's just poise in those moments, regardless of how the game is going for them. A lot of times freshmen can't get to that place because emotionally they're stuck in those other plays still. But again, that's what happens when you get a little bit older and you've been through it a few times.
What do you expect psychologically seeing a win to do for this team?
I don't know. I used to try to play that game. I really did. And I used to try to play it about shoot-arounds and about, what guys ate for pregame meal and, how much sleep did you get last night? And I think those things are still all important. I just don't know how to quantify them anymore. And I think it's becoming less quantifiable because, again, kids are so different. I said probably 4 years ago, we used to tell kids, go outside and play, get off your phones. And then for 2 years, we told them not to go outside and play with anybody. Don't talk to anybody, don't spend any time with anybody. And so they kind of was like, okay, we'll do that. And they're there. Like, they play video games all day long. They sit in their rooms. They don't really go out. They don't interact with a whole bunch of people. So we have to just adjust. I guess to answer your question is I don't know from a psychological standpoint. I'm going to try to go watch as much film on Kansas as possible, including our last game, and see if we can prepare them to play against a really good team with a really good coach.
Tonight, or will you
Tonight.
not take any time to?
There's no time. It's a hard business, man. Like, it is what it is.
I just, if I were you, I would take a couple of hours at least and enjoy that.
Yep. Bill Self's really good, so I can't assume.
Did-
And I think they lost today,
They did.
so there you go.
Did you think Kerr was ever going to miss? And how frustrating is that whenever you played decent defense on him and he still just keeps hitting?
Yeah, he's a really good player. We recruited him a little bit when he first got in the portal. And we knew he shot it, but he's still more facilitating minded. But I think once battle wasn't going, he started to get more aggressive. And then again, I've been there guarding guys. You got to try to make it hard for them to catch it because if they get a good look, everybody's seen a good player get into a groove. Sometimes it doesn't matter how good a defense you play once they're in that kind of mode. But he missed a couple late that we needed him to miss because we kept pursuing. And I think over the course of the game, maybe our defense did wear him down a little bit. But that happens, man. You got to respect the game enough to know that a really good player sometimes gets going. And, unless you stop him from catching it, he's probably going to get a good shot.
What would you say about your defensive ability to not get in foul trouble, especially in that first half?
That really hasn't been an issue for this team. Maybe it's part of, us not being as aggressive or physical defensively. But fouls haven't been much of an issue for this group. So I'm not really surprised by that. We don't really play in a way that puts us in position to foul a lot. But I did think that we rebounded well, which was really, really important. That's something we have been struggling with lately.
Yes, Coach. Play Kansas on Tuesday. That's twice in 2 weeks. That you'll have seen the same team, same guys. They'll see your guys. Is that an advantage? Is that a disadvantage? I mean, how do you kind of look, or is it just how to schedule falls?
So much of that stuff. I mean, honestly, like when we first get the schedule, I try to scan it and then I try to forget about it. Like preparing for West Virginia is like nauseating. So to think about Kansas at all in that moment, like just shoot yourself. Like what are you gonna do? So like I don't know. I haven't thought about it, but I'm gonna go upstairs and get the film and turn on, see how they lost today and see if we can replicate some of those things, see the things that we didn't do well when we played them 2 weeks ago and try to do those better and see if we can put ourselves in position to do something that's been really, really hard for a lot of people just on Allen Fieldhouse way.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you.